Hey, I'm Luke Tscharke and I'm a landscape and astrophotographer based in Tasmania, Australia. And I spend a lot of my time out in the field chasing the light, whether that's golden hour on the coast or the Milky Way over some of the darkest skies in the world. But as I'm sure you know, capturing the image is really only half the story. Most of the time, the image really comes together when you get home and sit down at the screen. And I find a lot of photographers, myself included for a long time, will spend thousands on camera bodies and lenses, but then they're editing on a screen that's not really showing them what they've actually captured. So today I want to walk you through how I process a Milky Way image from start to finish right here in my editing setup. I'm editing on this Asus ProArt PA32QCV, which is a 31.5 inch 6K display. And what I really like about it for this kind of work is the color accuracy. It's got a wide color gamut, covering 95% of the Adobe RGB color space. And for night photography especially, where you're dealing with really subtle color shifts in the sky, having a monitor you can actually trust makes a big difference. One thing I'd always recommend too, regardless of what monitor you're using, is calibrating your screen. It's one of those things that takes maybe 5 minutes, and it just means that what you're seeing is actually what's there. And luckily, this ProArt monitor is calibrated in the factory, allowing users to use it straight out of the box, making the process really straightforward. All right, let's get onto the image. So here we are in Adobe Lightroom, and we've got my raw file all loaded. It's a shot taken at the tessellated pavement here in Tasmania on the Tasman Peninsula, and it's got the Milky Way reflected in a rock pool here. And the shot was taken at ISO 10,000, quite a high ISO, so we'll have to do some noise reduction for 13 seconds at f2.8 at a 15mm lens. So what we'll do, as I normally do with my process, is work through the settings in this sidebar from the top down, starting with the color profile. And the color profile for me is a pretty important selection. Generally speaking, Adobe Color is going to give you the most neutral color with a bit of a color boost. Adobe Landscape is an option, although sometimes that really can amplify the colors. In this case, maybe a little bit too much, might start to feel a bit unnatural. So we'll leave it on Adobe Color and work on it from there. Another thing that's good to do from the start is just making sure that the horizon is level. We can click on the crop tool and use the angle tool and just draw that over our horizon just to make sure that that's relatively straight, something like that. You can see I had to adjust it a little bit. Next, we'll look into the white balance. And so one trick I know for white balance adjustments with night photos is actually using the white balance selector and clicking on the whiter part of the Milky Way. And so that actually tends to find a more neutral color balance. You can see here it's dropped it down a little bit more towards 4000 and removed a bit of the magenta cast that was there. So we might leave it with that for the moment. 4000 is a pretty good set point for your camera anyway when you're doing night photos. So I think that's a pretty good outcome there. Moving down into the tone area, I sometimes move the exposure slider if I feel like the image needs a little bit more brightness. In this case, I might move it up slightly. You can see these global adjustments are really pushing the brightness in the stars here. So we have to be kind of careful we're not making things overexposed. In this case, because it's a higher ISO image, I might choose to not move that too far and focus more so on the next slider, which I use quite a lot, which is the contrast slider. Typically with contrast, what we're trying to do is increase it to get a lot more punch in the image. However, with a night image, you can see it makes it very dark very quick. And so the way to approach that is actually to reduce the contrast, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but by reducing the contrast, we actually really open that image right up. And you can see now that we can see a lot more detail on those shadows. It does look a bit flatter, but we can add some contrast back in selectively later and really give the image a bit of pop. In terms of the shadows and the highlights and all of the rest of these sliders, often what the attraction is to move the shadow slider so you can see a little bit more detail in the shadows. But what tends to happen with night images is when you move the shadow slider, it reveals a whole bunch of noise. So for that reason, I think moving the contrast downwards still gives you a really natural looking foreground without having to battle the noise that gets revealed in the foreground. Sometimes folks like to try the dehaze slider or the clarity slider to get a bit more detail of the Milky Way. In this case, it probably is making a bit of an impact. However, applying these sliders globally can also affect the foreground a little bit. And so generally I'll do more of a selective adjustment later with the dehaze. The other area I don't really touch too much is the vibrance and saturation. That tends to introduce color shifting, and so try and keep a more natural edit. We might do a little bit of color work later in Photoshop. An area that I also like to adjust is the tone curve. It gets neglected a little bit, the tone curve, but by changing the darks here, you'll see it is actually bringing in a bit more brightness in the foreground, letting us sort of peer into the shadows, but in a kind of a natural way. And the lights are really great for adjusting the Milky Way brightness as well. And you can reduce the highlights down here a little bit too. You can move these points to the ends, and that moving this midpoint can act as a bit of an adjustment here just to fine tune that contrast adjustment for us. See how we're going here. So yeah, it can be quite an iterative adjustment with these, finding the sweet spot. Let's press the backslash key now just to do a bit of a before and after. So we started here and we're here now. So it's still looking quite bright. It's always good to sort of do a before and after view, and that just helps you to understand if your edit is on track or not. I saw it felt a little bit bright, so I just pulled that down a little bit. It's always a good way of going. Another area that can be looked at is the denoise. In this case, it will probably be a good idea given the high ISO. We click on that, and then it will process it and apply the setting. I've actually already done a denoise adjustment, so it applies it straight away. But I do recommend changing it from the default of 50 down to around 20 to 25. You'll find that the foregrounds will be a lot more natural when that's the case. Sharpening you can adjust to. Sometimes the default sharpening can be a little bit too strong, so have a good look at that. And also, if you want to add a little bit of extra color in, you can do that via the calibration sliders down here, which gives a much more natural look than what you would get from the vibrance and saturation further up. So we might pop in about 25 on the blue channel here, just to give it a bit more of a punch in the colors. Okay, well, I think that's all I would normally cover off in an edit in Lightroom. Now we're going to move across to Photoshop. All right, now in Photoshop, all about getting the fine-tune control. I like to click on the adjustment layers area here and choose a curves adjustment layer, and I'll hold down the Alt or on Mac Option key and click on Auto with the properties, and on that curves adjustment layer it pops up an auto color correction options panel, which is very handy. You can choose through the different options here and find a look of the image that suits the scene. I kind of like this more warmer feel to the image. It is taken just before sunrise, so I think that might be the color we go for. You can click on snap neutral midtones here just to get on the alternate perspective too, but I think I'll go with this one. So click on OK. The next area I would probably adjust is the Milky Way reflection. And again, I'll add another curves adjustment layer. Very simple, basic adjustments here, but they're very, very effective. If I bring up this curve here, it's going to make the whole image brighter. I'm only looking at this foreground area and seeing how that looks. I think if I put it to around this level, maybe keep the darks in there a little bit, we should be able to lift those colors a bit. So what I'll do is I'll do Control I here or Command I. That inverts that layer, and then press B for brush. That's loaded the brush in. If you hold down Alt or Option and right click, you can actually change the size of that selection there, the brush size. And so when we're doing operations in Photoshop, we want a big soft brush, so make sure the opacity is set to 20%, and we really want that hardness set to 0. If you right click and scroll up, that'll put the hardness to 0, which it is. So I'll just tab over this and get the brightness, and just as you can see, very subtle lift to the foreground. The real key here is to, we're making some enhancements, but we're not trying to make adjustments so that people actually know that we've made adjustments. Ideally, that's the best approach to make. So that's done a little bit of a lift there for the foreground, and I'll do a similar adjustment now for the sky as well. To do that, we'll just click again on the curves adjustment layer or create a new one. Again, well, in this case, I'm going to try and darken these edges. And we've got two options with the Milky Way. We could brighten the Milky Way, or another way around that is actually to darken the areas around the Milky Way, which can actually be just as effective. So I'll pull down on this curve. You can see the sky's feeling probably maybe in a bit more natural there too. It did feel a little overly bright. And again, I'll do Control I, invert that layer mask, and then again with a white brush, this time painting over the sky. And what we're trying to do here is kind of blend in that Milky Way a little bit with the sky, make the overall light level balance in the image in a way where it feels like it's natural and feels like the sense of balance is in proportion. And this is going to be a bit of an iterative process. You might even try a smaller size brush if you want to get in closer to the Milky Way core as well, and level that out. It's always a good idea to do a before and after too. And if you feel like the adjustment's a little bit too strong, you can also adjust the opacity. If you hover over opacity and pull to the left, it'll actually, you can sort of fine tune the amount of that you've added there through the opacity adjustment as well. And so we can now iterate on this and add more and more brightness or darken certain areas and balance that out a little bit more. The key thing is you always want your foreground, especially with a reflection, to be a little darker than the sky, because generally speaking, that's the way it works in nature. So that's my workflow from the raw file to the finished image. Here's where we started, and here's where we ended up. I think the biggest takeaways are to fine-tune the white balance, start with negative contrast and rebuild the tone curve, stay away from that shadow slider if you can, and use curve adjustments layers to balance the light in the scene in Photoshop. Thanks for watching. I'm Luke Tscharke, and I'll see you in the next one.